name is Siddharth. You can call me Sid. I'm the chief gaming officer at Galaxy Racer, and if you're asking me what that means, I basically shout at people on G meets. That's my job description. And so today we're here to have a chat about what exactly is media rights. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, specifically within esports. We saw the term being dropped a lot in the previous conversation as well, and I have two prestigious gentlemen here with me to educate us on the topic. And yeah, I'll leave them to introduce themselves.
Yeah, so my name is Piyush. I'm the founder and CEO of Router. We are one of the largest game streaming platforms in India. And yeah, we have been in the gaming space for about 2.5 years. Have been looking at this category from a different perspective of making a very compelling content platform which will have different kind of content, including esports, game streamings, and then different formats of content, which is reels, videos, and live streams. So yeah, look forward to the discussion.
Hey guys, I'm Shekar. I'm the CMO and director of Skyesports, and we've been doing esports tournaments for the past couple of years, and we have hit close to 1 billion impressions and over 315 million views, and I'm really excited to be on the panel today.
Right, guys. So to just like sort of set the floor for the conversation, in your definition, and you guys come from two very diverse backgrounds. Piyush, you're here operating an entire platform, and you are the one distributing to the end consumer in a manner speaking. And Gnana, you're here running a TO where you are the guys curating the experiences, which is again eventually through a platform like Router delivered to the end consumer. So in both your specific perspectives, could you just give us a quick idea of what is media rights in esports according to you?
So from our platform perspective, the way we look at it's very similar to the way sports has evolved globally, and it's exactly how it's happening here. That we are a platform where a lot of gamers come every day, and we need to give them different kind of content. And the purest form of gaming content is esports tournaments, because they get to see the best of players and gamers in their real elements. And we are always, so since the beginning of this year, we started to focus on allocating a certain budget for media rights in esports, because we do understand it's a very important part of value that users are looking from us. And that is when we joined hand with Skyesports early this year, and we signed a couple of deals, and then we were extremely excited to be a part of few tournaments that they did. A couple of them were LAN tournaments, which was unreal experience on the way it was conducted. So for us, esports media rights is a very important part of our budgeting that we need to do for content. And from a value perspective, we believe it's so we basically call a pyramid kind of a structure for content, and this is right at the top of the pyramid in terms of the value of the content. So that I think I look forward to discussing and understanding from Gnana on how he looks at the media rights. But largely for us, it's a very very important part of our ecosystem.
I think I agree with it because when we met Piyush and the team, our vision was pretty much the same, right? For me, media rights is all about content distribution. As a tournament platform, we do tournaments, and we would want somebody as big as a Router to come and take that away from us and distribute it in their own flavor. And like you said, our first couple of LAN tournaments was partnered with Router, and it did really well. Amazing turnout, amazing participation from both fans as well as players. So that's how I see it. It's a content distribution for me.
So can you, in terms of the experience you guys have had working together and curating unique esports experiences for the audiences here, can you help the audience understand a little bit more that in terms of when you broker a media rights deal, what is changing hands, like what are the sort of line items to speak that you're handing over to them, and what's the return in the process?
I think I think it's a 50-50, right? It's not like, let's say, Ruta picked up a media deal and then we'll just forget the distribution part of it. We both have been equally contributing on both the side, us on the production and tournament organizing, and Router with their distribution. And it's also about how we reach out to newer audience. Let's say if me as a platform, I have 80% of gaming audience and other 20% will be scattered across. But with with different audience on the routers platform, the content diversification is also big. So that's one of the reasons that where platforms come into the picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
sure.
from our perspective, see, the most important thing was we wanted to work with Skyesports because of the range of tournaments they do and the kind of IPs they own and the way they had executed it so well over the last few years. So we certainly believe there was a huge value to that product, and their execution has only got better with each tournament. So, the deal contours that you're asking is basically a combination of what kind of games are there, then what are the IPs behind them, what kind of teams are going to play, and then eventually how many number of hours of. So, for us, the real derivative is how many number of hours of content we get and in how many languages we get. And then you kind of assign a certain value to it, and then you kind of just go ahead and execute. So, it's a combination of learning. We've been doing it for last 7, 8 months. There's a lot of learning which has come into play. And then, of course, there are industry forces that nobody can control in terms of which games are available and what's happening with esports. But besides everything, I think it's the right way for the industry to grow. And yeah, I have a point of view I'll share, but mostly this is how deals are usually done. These are the different items we look at.
So in my experience, for example, I've seen media rights happening for, like, for example, a large event would go, and if they have a diverse audience, you'd have a TO such as yourself who handles the English stream, to say. And for example, the Thai stream you would give away to a local entity, a Russian stream you would give away to a local entity, a Chinese stream you would give away to a local entity, and so on and so forth. So that's one bucket of it. The other side would be is potentially working with one specific platform for distribution within a specific region or even globally. So beyond this, where do you guys see the evolution of media rights happening within the esports industry? Like, do you see potential of, like, over the past 2 years, we've seen, for example, the IPL's become the largest sporting property in the world, right? And a large amount of this comes down because of the media rights. And again, given its sports, the traditional industry has multiple platforms to sell on. So they have the local TV rights, the international TV rights, then the local OTT rights, the international OTT rights, and so on and so forth. So in terms of esports, do you see potential that media rights sales will hit those kind of numbers, and whether there is a scope of growth for new ways for media rights to be perceived while changing hands?
Yeah, see, bang on that one. So, like you said, you can see it in multiple ways, right? So earlier, what used to happen in sports, it was just one linear platform, and then you later on you got digital platforms, and esports also will pretty much go towards the same way. You have here your digital platform is much more popular than your linear, right? You don't have too many tournaments, too many IPs going to linear platforms on TV, except for one or two tournaments. So content distribution and media rights will definitely happen towards that. Like each IP can be on different platforms. Each tournament, specific game can go on different platforms. So that is where your monetization can also grow bigger, and media rights can also grow bigger. It's just not one language or just one IP. It's like multiple languages for multiple IPs. That's how I see it.
And exactly, just adding to what Gnana said, that the if you look at the large deals globally, like what YouTube did with Activision or what Bilibili did with Riot Games, these are very high value deals. So we will certainly see that scale in India. The only thing is that it will take some time, because even as platforms, we need to grow to that number of monthly users and daily users to be able to kind of pay the right price for the esports content, right? So it's not just on the esports tournament organizers or everybody else. It's also on us to continuously grow and make a platform which has maybe 30 million people coming every day. Then there's a right value that we can provide for the rights. Currently, what we are doing is completely completely dependent on how many viewers we are getting, right? So that's one part. The second part is we at Router are very focused on monetization. We take it as a very important metric. We have been growing our revenue 3x in the last 2 quarters. We are at 5 million ARR. So all that is great, but we also need to generate enough revenue to be able to justify the price that we are paying for media rights. And until both happens, which is users also grow in terms of viewers on our platform, and also we are able to monetize it, these are the two triggers that are required. And if you look at any big platform, anybody who has more than 70, 80 million monthly active users will be able to pay much better value because they know that they can monetize it.
So, just to add on to that question, then, as a platform, what would be your opinion on exclusivity rights, which are usually included within media rights?
So in terms of exclusivity rights, I personally feel that if a content is not exclusive, it becomes very difficult for you to generate value for it, particularly from a monetization perspective. I mean, users, you're still okay. You're getting daily users; they'll come and see it, and other users can see it on YouTube or a few other platforms. So we have always tried to work on exclusivity. We always have invested in content which is exclusive to our platform uh, because we believe that's the least value a user is looking for. That he or she is coming here to basically get a content they are not getting anywhere else, right? So uh, we see that as a very important thing. But again, it's very early, so we also don't know if at some point in time we realize that we'll not be able to do justice to the fantastic content that our partners are doing. Then it should not be exclusive. It should go out. Other people should also have that content because at the end goal is not just to make money out of it. The end goal is that more and more people should watch esports tournament, and then the ecosystem needs to come together to do it. So what Nodwin did with the BJP tournament was quite fantastic because there were three different platforms: Loco, Glance, and TV, and I think it got a lot of exposure. So maybe in early days that works, but again we are learning, so we don't know what's the right distribution method.
So, touching upon specifically the Nodwin event, we saw it was there on linear TV as well, and it actually performed quite successfully. So, by the metrics that they released post the event, so this was on Star Sports, right? Like, which is one of the most popular sports channels in the country. So they released the metrics stating that BGMI was the third most viewed property they had. It was only overshadowed by Kabaddi at number two, and of course cricket at number one. BGMI even became big enough to the extent where, so apparently the BGMS had higher TRP ratings than even the UEFA Champions League. So as a platform, like what is your interpretation of this? Like, how can you reach, considering that esports is primarily digitally distributed? What would it take for a digital platform to reach that kind of scale where we could potentially see similar to the IPL, 1,000 crore, 2,000 crore media rights deal go down over one event?
No, so as I said, you're right that what TV can achieve is something that will take some time to get there. But what TV doesn't have is interactivity or engagement that a digital platform can provide. Most importantly, as we were discussing in the last panel, people are moving away from TV. So even if they are on television, they are watching the same apps which they have on mobile, and all of us will have a TV app at some point in time. So the point here is simple. We as platforms need to grow much faster, and for us to grow, we need more games to become popular and not get banned and not get taken over by different ecosystem. But as long as the industry is growing, we will grow. We'll raise money. We'll continue to have more and more users. I I mean, from a TV perspective, I just feel that it was a good showcase, but eventually the engagement you'll get on a digital platform will be much more, and that's how it has happened globally. None of the esports IPs have done very well on television. They have always done very well on digital platforms.
I'm a little indifferent to that one. Like, I agree to most of the points, but for me, esports, the majority of the audience are still on digital. Like the TV is fine. It's great. It's something everybody should be proud of. But if you, like you said, with number three in terms of viewership, right? If you see the top 10 of viewership for BGMI in India, there are three positions where there's an Indian TO, and it's Sky Sports. So you see where the audience are coming from. You see how the audience are interacting. Like Piyush said, on TV you watch, you enjoy, but here on esports, on gaming, you interact with your audience, and that is what gaming is all about. If let's say if Mortal or Scout are having a great moment in game, you cheer about it in the comment section. Like you have fun, you talk about it, and then you clip it, you post it online, you make highlights of it. So those things are a big miss on linear, at least for now. And on the long run, yes, everybody will definitely love. Who wouldn't love BGMI or Valorant going on TV once again? But again, in terms of viewership, digital gives you 100% transparency in terms of viewership and where the audience are placed. On TV, as an audience, all I see is just nothing.
So, speaking specifically to the digital bit, then don't. So, as he had pointed out, as Piyush had pointed out earlier, that Nodwin did a brilliant job by distributing it on multiple platforms. Then, as a TO, would you argue that potentially signing exclusivity over to any platform is something that could bolster your growth? Because it, like, you guys have to go back into a platform, you have to create a new Skyesports channel, figure out how to get subscribers on that platform in their methodology. So,
Yeah, I still feel that it's too young. Esports is still too young to have an exclusivity media rights or deals with anything, because if things change over time, you still want one IP being a little better than the other IP. So I would accept to a fully exclusive media deal down the line, let's say 3-4 years when everything is quite stabilized and all of it. But as of now, it's little too early to have 100% exclusivity.
Yeah, I think from that BGMI tournament perspective, it was a showcase. It just fell in place, and there were 2 3 mediums. But I think we are not going to do anything different from what happened globally. And from that perspective, the fact that 5G is coming, everybody will have a smartphone, will have a much better distribution. Digital is the only way to go for esports content to be distributed for now. And the kind of engagement we could do for each and every tournament in terms of giveaways or kind of rewarding engaging users, even with brands who are coming in, is much better. So I would say digital and LAN tournaments. LAN tournament, I think, is a fabulous experience. uh, I've been to 2 tournaments they've done. We are going to do another big one if things wouldn't have changed. And the day you see a stadium full of gamers rooting for their team, and that's another level, right? That's the vision we should move towards, and that's what we looked at Sky Sports when we were doing it, because their execution is quite amazing.
I already had goosebumps when he mentioned land because that's something that we often don't talk about because the pandemic, and ever since that, people actually forgot about the land concept. And touchwood, and thankfully, we were the first one to do such a big land event. And the atmosphere was chaotic, like in a very nice way. And the number of people, we had very closed audience, right? Invited, and we also respected the COVID policies. And when such thing happens, you start believing in esports and gaming once again, right? And we'll definitely continue to do that. Our next LAN is very shortly away, and this is where your actual esports audience is. This is what they love. Even if you get just 3,000 people in a stadium, that atmosphere is unimaginable.
The what you can do with ticketing, what you can do with brand experiences there. Like I remember the final moments between G Sports and Enigma. It was crazy. Like my 7 years old son was there, and he was like, he couldn't believe this is what gaming is. So I think it's a very experience led thing, very engagement led thing, and therefore digital and offline event for me, it would be the far better medium to grow esports.
right. So, if you guys are talking about mainly distributing on platforms now, we've sort of come to a point where there've been 2 countering arguments that have been put out. So one is that you ideally want to be distributing on multiple platforms, because you want to reach as many people as you can. But the second side of it is that obviously when you're cutting a media rights deal, it's at the end of the day, especially as a TO, that's a major source of revenue, right? So, and of course, you can drive that revenue up by offering exclusivity on the table. So, and again, at the end of the day, your distribution is also dependent on how these platforms operate, what their business models are, and so on and so forth. So, where do you see the theoretical evolution of this going? Like, do you see more people giving away exclusive rights, or do you think more people would prefer to be on multiple platforms?
You should find a common ground. See, money is there, and then you also, as a TO, I would want too many people to watch my content, and the reach has to be really mass, right? Not just tier one, it has to go to tier three also. And for all that, if a tournament is happening in India, I want people in other region like EU, SEA to know that there's such tournament happening in India. So when you crack a really big media rights deal, which is exclusive, and if you know that your content is getting to a very small region, then it's debatable. But when both of the vision is same, then you'll have to find a common ground. And I successfully, I think we have done that so far, because our focus was to reach out to mass audience, and with both the combined viewership and distribution, I think we're able to do that now.
Like if you look at since the time we signed deal with them, in the last 7-8 months, there has been no month where we have got less than 2.53 million new downloads on our app, right? So we have grown our monthly active users doubled since last 6 months. So as I said, it's not that by just getting the exclusive right we can win the race. We also have to get users, and we need to have engagement, better retention, eventually monetize them. That's the only way to grow the business. So we are very, very careful about growing the user base, having the best product, and then monetizing it. That's the only way we can keep investing in buying media rights, and that's the most important aspect of a platform to deliver.
So so in terms of potentially buying media rights off of a property and this not being a sort of long-term engagement to say, do you feel as a platform, like for example, if you bought media rights for a one-off event, like let's say for example, tomorrow Router is the one doing the League of Legends World, the grand finals are going to be happening this weekend. So Router is the one doing the Hindi broadcast, for example. But considering it's only for that one event, or considering the League of Legends format for like literally that 8 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday, do you think this overall affects your business plan as a platform? Because of course you're going to see that spike in viewers, I'm assuming. So you're basically going to get the Indian League of Legends fans onto your platform. But once that's done, like most of them would leave.
So if you're asking me honestly, I don't think we'll do that, because for us, whatever rights we buy, whatever creators we sign, whatever esports team we sign, that needs to marry with the user base we have and the kind of games they are following. So if we don't have League of Legends, users on our platform, we'll probably not go for it. In fact, will not even take it for free, because then we are not doing justice to the IP. So we work like a very typical tech product company, where everything has to be data driven, and everything that we did with Skyesports was also aligned with what our numbers were then and what they were projected to be in the next 6 months to 12 months. So that is how we work. We are very particular about this. So for us, one-off event won't work.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. That was a very insightful conversation, and I mean, I got to learn a lot from speaking with both of you. I think we are open to questions from the floor now.
Hi, my name is Nalin Savara. I'm from Delhi, and I run a company called Dark Sun Technologies over there. My question is that, when I loved that point that one of you made about the excitement and the energy and the kind of mass hysteria that a game or a tournament happening in a stadium setting, even if it just has 3,000 people, carries with it. And I totally agree with it, because, that's one of the reasons why people are crazily passionate about LAN gaming. It's like being in a pub, and
Absolutely.
you just want to be part of that atmosphere and that energy. So my question is that, I have seen a lot of LAN gaming, but I haven't seen too many games in India become esports or e-games. And I say that as somebody who was once spent 2 or 3 years making a fighting game, thinking that one day we'll be bigger and better than Street Fighter, and we just didn't see a path to, turning our game into a esports legend kind of a game. And I'm not asking this just for the game which we were working on a few years ago, but I'm asking in general that what do you think are the chances of esports and competitive esports expanding beyond games that are the 2 or 3 or 10 titles which are known for it, into titles made by indies, which are not proprietary to the esports company or the promoter?
Fantastic question. That has hit us. See, as a TO, that is something that we are definitely figuring out on how nicely we can do that one. I'm a huge fan of multiple game tournament within the same platform. It has to be, one is the popularity of the game. A lot of people are picking up, PC fans are picking up Valorant as a as their favorite game, and then you have mobile BGMI and mobile. So if there is too many participation across games, TOs like us will definitely love doing multiple title tournaments, and this is where partners like Router can come in and start investing in multiple game tournaments. So that is something that I see, and I'm guessing that it will happen in the next 1 or 2 years.
Great. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you
So,
so much.
just to answer your question a bit more, in terms of why we don't see indie esports titles, like there's nobody who's raised about a $300,000 production budget, and that's become a big esports title. The reasoning behind that is it's more of from first of all, the major thing you need to look at in an esports title is the competitiveness in at a game design capacity. That competitiveness needs to be properly molded and in such a manner that it's free of any of the basically pay to win kind of, like, I shouldn't be able to pay and become better than him even though he was playing the game for 2 years before me. And the reason you won't kind of see indie studios do this is because you look at the esports titles, they have history. Now you need that kind of financial backing where you can go, like, basically strongly say that, okay, I have enough money to keep my game floating in the market for the next 5 to 10 years, such that I can build that community and user base around my game and eventually build that hardcore subset, which is the esports audience, including the players and the guys who watch it and stuff like that. So that it's, unless there's an indie company who goes crazy and ends up raising like 150, $200 million for a project, I see it being difficult that an esports title comes out from a non AAA publisher purely considering financial constraints.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Praveen here. So I tried to go competitively, play Rainbow Six like 4 years back, but unfortunately at that time, due to many restrictions, we are not able to, uh, go forward with our team. One thing is we are playing in EU, but we are an Indian team, so we were not allowed to play in so many competitions. Even though we were winning. So how is the situation now? And is there any support from government side of things? Thank you.
For good question. For the game specific, it again depends on publisher, how much of interest they have in the particular region to promote that game. It is still at a very nascent stage for Rainbow Six. But from the government side, government is much more involved in understanding esports and gaming right now, and it is at a very fast growing stage. So maybe in couple of years you'll see something really big happening from the government, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I think whatever we have also seen in the last couple of years of interaction with different government officials, India is little late, but moving pretty well on recognizing esports as a mainstream sports, and therefore the kind of support you'll get will be far better. But it's not. I mean, it's not happening in next maybe 1 or 2 years. But if you look at the next decade or 7, 8 years time period, it's all gonna get changed.
I'll-
Money needs to come into the ecosystem, and then everything is gonna get handled. So all that we need to do, everybody in the room, is to just go and raise as much money as we can for Indian gaming market.
I recently met with the Tamil Nadu government and spoke to the general secretary. So even before me explaining him what gaming is, first thing they asked was, "Is this relevant?" So, but the other counterpart of him, he said that gaming is big. So it's still at a very good discussion level, and I see it in a very positive way that at least Tamil Nadu government or Telangana government or from here, somebody might definitely start pushing it. I would definitely see it happening soon.
Hi, this is Ravi. Quick question, probably directed to Sid, but definitely perspectives from Gnana and Piyush are respected. So, in this whole pie of media revenues, where do franchises fit in, or where does that professional gamer fit in? From that perspective, isn't how does he benefit directly or indirectly? I mean, just a clear overview from a franchise perspective, and then a platform and a TiVo perspective would also help.
Okay, I think from the franchise perspective, thank you for that question, by the way. It's quite an intriguing one. The franchise perspective, I think the best example to take here would be the LPL, which is the Chinese League of Legends Pro League, which is arguably one of the largest viewed, at least regional esporting properties in the world. And it is, I would argue, one of the highest revenue generating franchises of any of the franchises that exist in esports. And how media rights has helped there is so considering it's a franchise, there's a revenue share with the team owners as well, right? and the publisher themselves has made the move. Again, they own the LPL as a whole, so they made the move to sign certain specific media rights deals for both the Chinese broadcast, the which platform it would be broadcast on, and then the English broadcast of it, the Korean broadcast of it, and a few other 2-3 regional languages where viewership for the Chinese property is still high. How did this end up benefiting the teams and players? Because at the teams, at the end of the day, money, so it's like direct revenue, right? Because they're part of the franchise. So considering the franchise property has sold X amount of media rights, they'll get a percentage of that X. And where that makes it better for the player is at the end of the day stability. If the company that you're working for still has money to pay you tomorrow and you can continue working with them, it just goes to grow the entire ecosystem and create a more like stable story, right? So I think that's where media rights sort of play a very pivotal role in ensuring, especially within a franchised ecosystem, that that cash flow is there, such that the money is changing between the right hands to create a sustainable ecosystem. Any other questions, guys? Anybody? Right, cool. Thank you very much, guys. You've been a brilliant audience, and thank you, Piyush
Thank
and
you.
Gnana.
Thanks, Sid.